Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice. And there she is. Hello, creepy crawlies, and welcome to the show you really do not want to miss. Of all of the shows that we have done, I think this is the one that everybody wants to tune into and wants to be part of. So let's bring in my co host, Lauren. Hello. Did you get your makeup done?
I did.
It's quite lovely. By the way, if you have not seen the TikTok of her doing her makeup, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. And I love your pearl necklace. It is so gorgeous.
Thank you. Yeah, I decided it was a pearl necklace kind of night. Yeah.
I'm like headphone wires kind of night. So, you know. but still. So I am sad to announce that that you first day with the new lips, Kat and Magda will probably not be joining us this evening. I know Kat has something going on family related. Magda might be joining us a little bit later, but we have an honorary ice cream queen joining us. And oh my God, she is part of our group, and we are excited to bring her in. Please bring in Moxie Rose! Yay!
Hi!
We wanted to bring you in because we want you to be part of our pre-show chatter. Lightning crashes, a woo cough hat.
Love the comments. Keep the comments coming, y'all. We'll read them aloud through the show.
Oh my gosh, wait a minute, go back. Eli, what was that? Colors in female characters' boobs, sex and horrifying. Sex question horrifying.
Horrifying.
I have never seen a set of boobs that I think are horrifying. Have you?
No, I like boobs or boobs.
I got one, but it's from a movie, so we can.
Was it the fembots from?
Or was it Linnea Quigley?
No. This was. Did anybody ever see Night of the Demons?
Yes, Linnea Quigley and the.
Okay, stuck
the lipstick
and the.
Oh, that makes my boobs hurt so bad. Oh my God. Oh
Just
my
me,
God.
the whole time, me watching that, like, oh.
I'm not even covering the hootie coo. I'm just like going, my boobs hurt so much. Please don't stick a lipstick in your boobs.
Around all over their area.
That's the only terrifying boobs I've ever seen.
And I don't know that I was really that terrified of that. To be honest with you, I
logistically just had some questions.
Now I'm sitting here trying to think of what would be terrifying in a horror movie when it comes to boobs, and we're totally not going to get like all of
Eli
the areas
Cash says that
like,
my comment just freaked the stream out. It did not freak the stream out. We were prepared for this. We really were.
We are primed and ready. Okay, we had a pre-show topic that we did want to discuss.
Yes. So honestly, we have been seeing all of the information about the new Wednesday series. And first of all, I just have to comment that most people do not pay any attention at all to what the topic or what the idea is supposed to be. It is her in high school and beyond. And so, yes, she is a little bit older. The family is a little bit older. But what I am having an issue with is everybody is...
Oh, I think you froze.
Oh, no.
He is perfectly cast. Perfectly cast.
You froze for a second. We heard everyone is, and then you froze. Hit it from there.
Okay. Everyone is losing their mind over the casting of Luis Guzman as Gomez. And honestly, he is perfectly cast. Beautiful job. And I don't know why people are losing their minds. Let's discuss why.
People don't like change. People don't like change.
That's fair. That's a fair assessment. Yeah, I've noticed, and this is one of the things that I will gripe about until like my dying day. If there is a remake of something, if it is not exactly 100% the same actors and the same this and the same that, people are going to absolutely just start crap talking it from the beginning. And I am on the opposite end. I'm the one who's sitting here like, y'all, let there be. I want new people to come in and be excited about the things that I was excited about when I was do the remakes. That's at least my opinion when it comes to that. But you are right. Everyone's just going to hate it right out of the park because of that.
And you can't win because with all of the reboots of anything, you have people that the stance that they immediately take is, I just wish that people would get, an original idea. Why do they keep having to make remakes? And then you get somebody that does a reboot, tries to make it their own. And they're like, but not like that. I'm like, what did you want?
Exactly. My opinion when it comes to why everyone is so angry about the casting is, I think we were discussing this a little earlier. They're so used to, what is it, the 90s version of the Addams Family, the movies? Yeah. Yes. And let's just say it straight out. He's sexy.
He was sexy as hell. He was like suave. He was debonair. He was,
he has all of the traditional kind of like, features of like Hollywood leading men. And then now the casting is, I still find him very attractive. I ain't gonna lie about that.
Oh, hell
But when it comes to traditional Hollywood leading men in the sexy role, this isn't exactly the casting that most people would think of. And I really think that they're just being very closed-minded when it comes to that.
I agree. And it's a type of shaming. It's a type of body shaming. And honestly, he does not fit the description of what Raul Julia was. However, he does fit the description of what the original character was designed to be. Yes. And quite honestly, I'm sorry, I agree with you. I think he is quite sexy. And I'm just going to say, Guzman is getting more booty than anybody out there right now. So y'all just need to shut up and let the man have his moment.
Be mad. Be mad.
Stay mad.
Yeah.
Away with you.
Away with you. I'm here for it. Tim Burton.
All right, so go ahead.
So Eli Cash says Tim Burton does have a knack for going close to the source material. It was like that with Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. There are a lot of people who are actually kind of revolting against this version just because it is Tim Burton and they know it's going to be a little more off center. It's going to be a bit more off kilter, but I'm here for it. I'm sorry. Everything that I've seen about it so far, I love it.
And it has Catherine Zeta-Jones in it. I'm happy.
Hell yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah. What?
Hack into the yesin.
Speaking of, do we want to go ahead and flash up our disclaimer?
What? Oh, yeah. Disclaimer.
We have a disclaimer because we know this is going to be warning. This show may contain strong language and disturbing topics, which may be a bit unsettling for children, and unusual in humor, which may be a bit unsuitable for adults.
We're just
and we're going to talk about sex.
That's right.
Oh no, not the forbidden topic.
Is it really forbidden? I'm sorry. Everybody loves it. Everybody wants to have sex. Everybody enjoys sex. Come on.
I would disagree with you on that because there are people who would like to form attachments, but aren't so much into the wiggly, sticky things of it.
Okay.
But even
they
are still, even like people that are asexual are still far better at being accepting of sex culture than some of the people actually having sex, which is the strangest one to me. It's like, they're like, I don't even want this, but I support you. I'm like, how is it that you are so far ahead of everybody else?
Yeah, I have to agree with you. I've not met one person who is asexual who's been like, no, that is bad and evil. And
yeah, I don't want it. Very open-minded. Yeah.
So, Moxie, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us how you came to find us, how we came to find you, and tell us a little bit about what you do and why we picked you for this show.
Oh my goodness. So my name is Moxie Rose. I am a sex and kink educator. I am based out of a store called For the Love of It in Wenatchee, Washington. So I'm like in the literal center of Washington state. I have I do sex and kink education here in town. I have done it for a number of years on and off. But I most notably have recent kind of a heavier TikTok following now. So I have almost a little over 350,000 followers. And that was where I met Lauren. She and I became mutuals, started following each other. And I am very much aside from the sex and kink portion that is very much takes up a lot of my life because of what I do. I very much kind of ride that culture wave of, I like the goth culture, the horror culture. I like scary movies. I like that kind of just, all of that kind of culture, you know, very pin-up nature, all of that. So I kind of had a mutual thread going there. And Lauren kind of wrote me out of nowhere and was like, hey, weird request. Do you want to be on this podcast? And I tried to keep it super cool and be like, yeah, that sounds like so much fun. And in reality, I'm like, oh my God, you guys.
Well, we're excited to have you. And so
I'm very excited to be here.
Oh my gosh, we know this is going to be a fun show. So let's go ahead and kick it off. The irrefutable correlation between sexuality and the things that we fear is one horror has played on for years in just about every possible way. In 1941, Dracula basically introduced carnal desire into, there was a lot more to that neck bite than just biting the neck. So that kind of kicks off our thoughts and where we're going. We want to talk about the carnal aspects of horror. And let's kick it off, first of all, with our audience participation question, which, Moxie, generally our guests answer this first.
Okay.
Who was your biggest crush you developed from a horror movie sex scene?
Oh man,
that's such a hard question.
I know, that's so loaded, because some of the other, like, where you're just like, why do I have these feelings, didn't necessarily come from like a sex scene per se, like the Michael Myers thing. Like I had a video that it was all these Michael Myers like choking this person at like a Comic-Con, and I was just like,
I know, it's like I have a new kink and I didn't realize it was a thing. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
I agree. Yeah,
achievement unlocked.
Yeah, exactly. Some of the biggest crushes I had that kind of like were born out of horror movies weren't necessarily like the sex scenes of it, but like the nature of the primal aggression that came with it, that you're like, this person is literally being like choked out by this killer that has a knife in their hand. Why am I turned on?
Oh, nice. Oh, that is
so I would have to say Michael Myers, which is also oddly enough the one that just absolutely scarred me as a child and stuck with me.
Nice.
I don't know.
So Eli says the pure horror, it both repels and attracts them because in their collective unconsciousness they have the agony of childbirth, the blood. The blood is horror. Martin Landau as Bela Lugosi and Ed Wood. Oh, we're getting quotes. Nice.
Oh, thank you, Eli. Linnea Quigley in Night of the Demons. Oh, Geek Gumshoe, please go away with that one, because I am not sticking a lipstick tube in my titty. I might. Okay. You know what? I'm just gonna say, not a movie, but I love Lucifer. That was Shelley McDaniel. Ooh, he's quite lovely. I'm just gonna say that. Lovely. Mine actually was Gary Oldman as Dracula. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Woo.
Yeah.
I'm not sure this counts as horror. It's horror-esque. I would have to say Tim Curry in Legend.
Okay. All right. Yep. I'll give it to you.
So that was actually one of my personal Facebook quotes my posts that I put up recently. I was like, who is my favorite Tim Curry character? Yes, it was Darkness. It was Darkness. I wanted to wear the dress. I wanted to be
God, that dress.
Oh my God, that dress, and just him in general.
My mom's on here. She's saying Papa says Sookie Stackhouse from True Blood. Nice.
Ginger Snaps.
Oh my God, I forgot about
Ginger
that
Snaps is so good.
That was a good one. Edward Scissorhands.
We have all of these really great comments coming through.
Yes. I'm sorry. I'm snorting. It's like if I start like doing that, it's just I'm like, that's the wolf. That's the wolf.
That's the wolf.
Oh my God.
Grave Robber.
Yes. Yes.
There is a scene where Grave Robber sings this low, super low note, and it's like dum bum, and every time
yes.
Oh.
That is actually I have actually read that is a note that level that is designed for women. That is 100% to trigger a woman's response. That's 100% with this. That is that. He's not a baritone. What is he? Is he a bass? No, he's a
baritone, but he's a baritone. That note is a bass.
Lord I'm sorry. Who is dinging? Who is dinging leveled up? Because I keep hearing this
Mario.
ding.
It's like
I'm like-
it's out in this room somewhere. Like it's our online orders. I'm in the store right now.
Oh,
So it's like
fun.
it's the one thing I can't shut off. I've got like everything else locked up in here, but occasionally we're gonna hear like the leveling up, the Mario gun just got a coin.
Yeah, Mario keeps grave robber, 100% a panty dropper.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Oh, sorry, I'm over here still laughing. Like Mario got a ding, so someone else can get a ding.
I'm just sorry. I love that it keeps dinging when we're like leveling up. It's like, ooh, let's talk about grave robber. Ding, 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 ding. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, what? So
all right.
we really want to kind of address the concepts of sex and horror because, honestly, sex is prevalent in horror. And honestly, most of the time you see that the sexually active couple are the ones to die first. And I know. I kind of feel like that corners or that kind of is on the level of slut shaming, but let's go, y'all. Talk amongst yourselves.
Talk amongst yourselves.
Okay, so this one I talk about this one a lot because it's one of these like soapboxes I get up on because I'll draw attention to like a timeline that until it's kind of drawn to your attention, you're like, oh. So like the whole trope of in horror movies, if you have sex, you die, was not always around. It kind of shifted right about the 1980s because prior to that, like Dracula, it was not seen as you have sex, you die. Sex was kind of part of the appeal of it. It kind of played off the psychology of that. The things you see in horror films are not things that you should be seeing in real life. These are like an intimate view into things that are kind of forbidden, just like how we view sex. And so they kind of went together. And right about the 1980s, everything shifted, which you also at the same time had the birth of your classic like major slasher films and slasher franchises kind of honing what they wanted to do. But the interesting part is it had to be influenced by somewhere. You don't have this complete shift in dynamic around sex in horror movies without anything happening. But then you look at what was happening in the 80s. You had the rise of Reagan era conservative values coming to play. And you had the AIDS pandemic. And at the time, we didn't understand much about it. It was still called GRID at the time. It was still called gay-related immune deficiency. And so we didn't really understand that it was a bloodborne pathogen, that there were any number of ways to contract it. It was made to be like synonymous with promiscuity. So you had the rise of conservative values kind of telling everybody abstinence only education was the thing. Don't have sex, don't have sex, don't have sex, don't have sex. And then you had an AIDS pandemic happening where the message everybody was sending with it is promiscuous people are gonna die. And it all boiled down in Hollywood to if you have sex, you will die.
Let's back it up a little bit and let's talk about the 1940s and 1950s. You had the era of, let's say, Dracula, Wolfman, Frankenstein, and normally that era is known for sexual repression, especially when it comes to women. But you have these characters who were created to be almost sexualizing, and they were very sexual characters. If you think about the nature of Dracula, everything about what was portrayed of him was 100% sexy. It was meant to be. And I think that's very, yes. And then you have also going into the 1960s, you have Psycho, and Psycho plays upon, deeper set repressed sexual desires.
Yeah, that he literally cannot come to grips with the feelings he's having. So his like version of his mom in his head is saying, you need to get rid of this. But it's interesting that you bring up that like back in what is generally considered a very repressed time for sex, especially for women, but I mean, really anybody at that point, it is interesting that when you see the movies at that point, that it's still, they're not necessarily like, you're going to die because you had sex. It's meant to be like, look at this beautiful woman. Look at this sexual character we've created. We're going to kill her. But then when you see the ones where it's like the woman is making that choice, like, I'm going to go off to this cabin with my boyfriend and I'm going to have consensual sex. All of a sudden, that's not okay. It was okay to have a sexualized character if they created it for it. But the minute your character takes their sexuality into their own hands, you're going to die.
There was a weird transitional period between the two as well. There was the sex is, attractive characters, and then in between the, if you have sex you're gonna die, there was this whole like, if you have sex you're gonna get pregnant and it's gonna be the spawn of Satan, and there was a lot of those movies.
Rosemary's Baby.
A lot of those, like, in a weird transition. It was like, okay, sex is good, but sex leads to pregnancy, evil children, and then just it went straight into sex bad, die now. And so I just kind of wanted to mention that one too, because it was a very weird jump in horror movies.
It was. And it also had the right about that same time, you had the birth of the whole final girl trope, which plays into the, okay, if you have sex, if you are this person or in this scenario, you can redeem yourself, but it's going to require a literal rebirth. And so you see them, they're either pure from the beginning. They're the ones that are like, oh no, I'll just go to the cabin with you guys. I don't want to have sex. I don't have a boyfriend, like whatever the hell it was. They remained pure, or they found themselves in that scenario. And then through the whole thing, like the imagery, you get into a lot of like the human psychology of it, which you can just pick apart forever. But the imagery or the symbolism behind the fact that a lot of the slasher films, they are chasing you with what is a very phallic weapon. It's a giant chainsaw. It's a giant knife. It's a giant whatever.
It's giant.
It's giant. It's unnervingly big when like a small knife will also do the same thing.
Exactly.
And you had a woman running from this, basically evading penetration from this phallic weapon the entire movie. And then at some point or another, just in the formula of these movies, she'll find herself squeezing through somewhere. She's in a crawl space. She's narrow hallway. It's a literal birth canal. She comes out the other side. This is her rebirth, her redemption, so that she can live and be the final girl.
So let's backtrack a little bit and let's talk about sexploitation, because that was prior to the 1980s. You had movies, Last House on the Left. There were several movies. Now, I know that these have the tendency to deal with SA, but there were a whole lot of sexploitation films that were geared towards horror. And that actually, I feel, is very much the opposite. It was very male dominated. In some cases, it might have been female dominated, but for the most part, it was very male dominated. But it was more geared towards pleasure. It was more geared towards what makes the person watching feel good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Last House on the Left and things like that, it's what stands out to me about the use of sex in those capacities, because especially Last House on the Left is one of those that I watch a lot of scary movies, and I am no stranger to the topic of sex. And that scene was like, just, I had to like hit pause and be like, I need a break. That was a lot. And the interesting part is that it's preying on that primal fear that like it's a fearful thing. It's sex, which is already a taboo topic, but now it is being weaponized because this is a fear. This is something that will make you feel scared, which the interesting part about that for me is that we still approach the topic of SA like we don't understand why people are afraid. Like we don't understand why women are afraid to walk down the street. And now what's wrong with you? What are you afraid of? But here, let me make this movie and I know what'll make you afraid. It's like, so you do understand. You get why we're afraid. And you've weaponized it and used it as the catalyst for how you're going to move your plot line.
They get why women are afraid. They just don't believe it is as prevalent as it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh no, it is. Lauren and I actually work on a university campus, and if you spend any time in higher education, you understand how prevalent it is. And it's a very frightening. I mean, we go through training on a regular basis to alert us to what is going on campus. So
yeah, I've actually had to call the police because of seeing things, like just walking to my car.
Oh yeah.
So fun.
Not
Sorry.
really.
Sarcasm.
So moving into the 80s, one of the franchises that I fell in love with, and honestly, there's a whole lot of BDSM in this one, is yeah, I just saw your eyes light up. Oh my gosh. Okay, so we're going to talk about Hellraiser, and we're going to talk. I know, because honestly, that is a beautiful, beautiful movie, and it is very dark. It is very twisted, but I can honestly say I don't know many people who would want or would not want. I mean, it's kind of we want a little bit of both. We want to play with that lament configuration and we want to open that door, but then again, we really don't because, it is a little disturbing. So, what are your thoughts on Clive Barker's thoughts on sex and horror?
Oh man, I think I know it's a loaded topic. I think that you touched exactly on it. That it perfectly portrays kind of without skirting around it the way that other movies tend to. That it kind of dives right into, okay, well, we're already going to make a movie that's kind of taboo because it's horror. This isn't like a normal, I'm going to watch a, every day in the life of whoever, like kind of movie. It's not a coming of age movie. It's not anything like that. It's already tilting into the uncomfortable. And sex, and especially BDSM, when you get into that, it is, people fear what they don't understand, and it is going right along with that. It's playing right into, you don't really understand the ins and outs of this, but it's appealing to you. There's something there. You're very curious, but you're not entirely prepared to jump into this because there's a lot of misrepresentation in Hollywood about BDSM, and people know that, and so they're a little afraid to dive straight into that. But it kind of, through these movies like Hellraiser, gives them this way to view it while it is still being tied into what is already like a uncomfortable scenario horror movie.
So our friends at Hub Photo just commented, isn't Netflix rebooting Hellraiser? Yes, they are. And quite honestly, I'm very excited for this because in the original works of Clive Barker, Pinhead, at least this is what we knew of him, was more of a female centric character. So we have a female Pinhead in our future. And I'm a Hellraiser comic girl too. So, and I know that the new Hell Priest becomes Kirsty, and I'm dying to see it so bad. Oh my God.
Yay.
Okay.
Oh my God, Event Horizon.
Ooh.
Yeah. Oh
okay.
Man.
I love that movie so much.
I haven't watched that movie in so long, and now I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to have to go watch this movie. I love that movie.
Know.
And they're right.
God.
That really kind of did tackle BDSM and sex the way that other movies kind of were like, skirt around it.
Yeah. Another movie that just kind of, they had, I think, attempted to skirt around it, but really they were just like, here's the topic. Freddy Krueger Nightmare on Elm Street 2.
Yes.
Where the guy literally, like, accidentally as a teenager wanders into a bondage bar. Oh, how did I get here?
Yeah. When's the last time you accidentally like wandered into this like bondage bar? Like, oh my God, how the heck did I get here?
Oh, what is whips and chains? Huh, this must be a themed bar. Is it cowboys? What's the theme? There's a lot of leather.
Oh no. Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
It was themed, and sex was the theme.
That's true.
Why do you think that Hollywood is so scared to address sex?
Because we as a culture are afraid to address sex. We don't like the idea of addressing it. It's still a topic that even people that are comfortable talking about sex in certain scenarios, it's that like, we don't, just not here. Like, it's the idea that like you could walk into a store like this and be totally fine and like, all right, perfect, I'm just here to shop, do my thing. But then you leaving, you're like, don't look at me, don't look at me, don't look at what I bought. And it's like, you just walked. The hell did you think people were going to assume that you bought? Like, it makes people uncomfortable to talk about sex, and culturally we are incredibly buttoned up about it, and we refuse to address it as a topic unless the topic is Here's how to have safe sex. We won't go beyond that. People are like, I agree. We should have topics about sex. We should talk about sex. Let's talk about how to have safe sex. And I'm standing in the background with all the adults going, when is anybody going to teach a lesson on how to have good sex, since safe sex is incredibly important? But what does it, like, if you don't have fun driving your car, like if you don't know how to drive your car, you just know how to buckle your damn seatbelt, what is that worth? What is it worth to know how to, what is it worth to buckle your seatbelt if you like to know, okay, this is how I put on my seatbelt, this is how I am safe, if you're not actually going to drive that car?
Yeah. It's also a judgment thing too. Like, sex and movies, spicy movies, and horror movies all have a kind of theme when it comes to a lot of horror directors. People will be like, "Oh, so you make horror films?" And they'll be like, "Oh, no. I'm a director. We've only ever made horror film." Like, they don't want to be like, "I'm a horror director," because it's very, very easily known in any sort of advertising. Sex sells. Yeah. Sex sells. It is easy to sell stuff. That's why with, beer commercials, you see half naked girls drinking the beers and all of that, especially during like 90s and all of that. Sex sells. It is easy to sell things with sex. Easy. Yes. They're combining those together. And so they're almost treating it like doing stuff in this way is cheap. Yeah. It's easy, which are words that also are negative connotations with people who have a lot of sex.
Exactly.
Can we go back to the last comment?
Maybe. No.
I did see that it was, there we go.
Where do you ladies live where sex is such a taboo topic? Honestly, I can say that Lauren and I live in the Bible Belt in the South. So sex is very much a taboo topic. You don't, and especially women enjoying sex. That is not something that is generally looked upon favorably.
You're supposed to have sex to make babies.
Exactly. We, where we live in the South, and I know what you're going to say. It's like, well, why don't you move? Because quite honestly, we live here in the South, and it's a little more complicated than that. Mm-hmm. But I mean, honestly, there are a lot of women like us in this area that are very interested in sex and very interested in making it something that is not taboo, but you are in competition with the religious sector of where we live. And it is considered very taboo when you're in this area.
Yeah. Well, there's a little bit of like confirmation bias that if you are somebody that is very open about the topic, it is a regular part of your discussion, you're going to have friends that are kind of part of that. You're not going to have a whole bunch of friends that are like, would you be quiet about sex already? Stop talking about, like, you're going to have those birds of a feather, which starts to feel like no one around you thinks it's taboo. But I mean, look at what just happened with OnlyFans and PayPal, and like that everybody rejecting, like, we're not going to do business with you. Like, we're not going to do this. We're not going to, I mean, as a whole, we as a society, even though pockets of it are getting a lot better, and it has gotten a lot better generally throughout the years, we still absolutely, as a whole, as the zeitgeist, the actual general zeitgeist still looks on it unfavorably. That's like, if you approach it from, like your little pockets of people, that's perfect. And that's the way that it changes, is by showing that this is a regular topic, that we can work, that, we can talk about this and be absolutely fine. Nothing's happening. It's not the end of the world. I can have sex and enjoy it and not do it to procreate. And there is nothing wrong with that. Just like if you want to approach that, that's cool for you. Neither one of us are going to dictate what the other one does, but you never have the sex positive crowd telling everybody else, like, you're a prude, you just need to have sex already. Just do it. Like, it's always the crowd that doesn't want to do that telling everybody else, you need to curb it. You're slutty, or whatever it is. Like, whatever it is. You're too promiscuous. You're too this. You need to have, how many partners have you had? Like, that kind of stuff.
Oh God, what's your body count? That question.
Yeah.
It's so fun when you're a horror girl too, because you're like, 59. And they're like, you've been with 59 people? Oh.
No, I've killed
I meant.
No, I killed 59 and slept with 159.
But here's the thing, in all honesty, it's okay if we've killed 59 people, just as long as we haven't slept with 59 people.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And the idea that it's that that lack of education of understanding how the human body works, that there's somehow for people a difference between like you and me, we are partners and we can have sex 100 times and that's perfect, but you can't have sex with 100 people one time. Your body will get stretched out or whatever. I'm like,
no, it won't.
Explain it to me. Explain it to me like I'm stupid.
Can we go back to Kyle's comment? Why is your sex life anyone's business? Honestly, it's not. It's my business, it's Lauren's business, and it's Moxie Rose's business. But it's nobody else's business.
Correct. On the flip side of that, it can be other people's business if we choose for it to be. If we want to be able to sit here and say, you know what? I enjoy this. There should not be someone saying, oh no, you can't talk about that, because us sitting here saying it is normalizing it to other people who are too afraid to admit it or talk about it.
Yeah.
So it may not be other people's business, but we can make it. And there shouldn't be an issue with that.
Exactly. And having those open talks leads people to learning things about themselves, about their partner that they never thought of. Just having talks about sex in general, nothing specific. It's amazing how many women, or how many cis women, how many people with a V I talk to that are astounded to learn that only 25% can reach climax from penetration alone. They think something's wrong with them. They thought it was just them. It's only 25%. 75% of you can't without outside stimulation. But you thought it was just you. You thought it was just you because nobody else was talking about it and they blew right past you. And so you've spent your life thinking something's wrong with me. I don't enjoy this anymore. And I feel self-conscious about it because like, oh my God, what is wrong? Why can't I do this for my partner? Why can't I do? And then I'll come to find out 75% of you, all of you, like, and had y'all been talking to had y'all been talking about it, had it been like a regular conversation where you hear somebody say like, oh yeah, I got this new product because I am one of those people. They go, stop. You're that too? Yeah. 75% of us are. And then it blows their mind. It opens up a world to them that they didn't even know they were missing out on. So having that ability to have people engage in those conversations will change people's lives because they didn't know what they didn't know.
So I have a question when it comes to like the horror-esque aspect of the sexy times.
Sexy horror?
The sex and horror.
Sexy time horror?
What are your like, not just like the first scene that you were like, ooh, but what are your like top favorite characters who, when you think of these characters and you think of horror-esque, you're just like, ugh.
Pinhead. Sorry.
Yeah. I would have to say Pinhead too. There's also, it's the Michael Myers thing for me was the kind of blank face, the like, you did not know what was going on back there. You did not know the thought process. There was no expression. There was no, you can tell on somebody's face, like if they're getting mad, they're getting like zeroing in on you, there's a look. But when it's completely expressionless, the guy looms over you. I'm already like, I'm 5'2". My partner is 6'4". There is like an appeal to that, just like, hi. Hi. And there is something about that. And it kind of, not for everyone, but it does tilt into that kind of primal kink, that the hunter and the prey, the primal, like fear, kind of like elevating that blood pressure and everything that also happens during sex. The same response that your body has to fear is the response it has to sex, with just slight differences. Your blood pressure goes up, your adrenaline is rushing. That's all those things happening for both of those. So it was part of that is that prey, that like, oh God, being chased by this like giant guy, like I don't know what he's thinking.
Nice.
But even with that, you start talking about the primal aspect of it. You do have that, not necessarily being chased, but during the actions of sex itself. I mean, you had the whole, those women, those people, those groups of us that like to be choked out, those people who like to be scared during sex. I mean, there are, Lauren, quit rolling your eyes.
I'm not rolling my eyes.
But there are those of us who like a little bit of danger when it comes to sex.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Our Jason cosplayer friend who has women looking for attention. Yes, yes,
Yeah.
we have a good friend of ours who's been on our show a couple of times, and he's shared with us some not PG-13 type interactions where women have approached him and they're just like, "Let me tell you about my fantasies." So
Because it's kind of safe at that point. It's everything about that character. It's the look. It's the height. It's the everything about it that you found appealing, without the one part that was going to be the end all be all to a no, which was that you'd actually die. This is a scenario where you get to kind of explore that in a way that you know you're going to be safe.
And see, there's also the women who are like into the go above and beyond. There's the people who are calling up, the serial murderers in prison, like, hey, so I heard about you in the newspaper. Are you free Friday? I mean, I'll come to you.
that's a topic in itself, but
It is. Yes.
is it hybistria? Where's Lauren, or where is Magda when we need her? Because she could tell us this. But yes, it is actual. I mean, there's a whole kink of women who go after serial killers who are interested in men who have killed. And it's interesting because even in my line of work, I have had a person tell me that they have killed people before. We'll talk about that later, but it was no. It was a military type situation, but not a serial killer. But it was one of those things where he thought it was okay to drop that information with me, and you're sitting there going, "What? You have a look? What?
I'm sorry. We're sitting here like, oh, he's killed people before. And we're like, what? And you're like, it was a military thing. And I'm like, oh, okay. And now I'm sitting here like, how cool would a storyline be for a horror movie about a guy who's a serial killer, but he is worried about getting caught, so he joins the military on purpose to go and do the serial killer thing. That'd make a really killer movie. Okay.
But honestly, the whole conversation that carried on with this was I feel like it was, hey, let me tell you about my dangerous side to make you more attracted to me. So,
hey, baby.
Hey, baby, let me tell you about the people I killed.
Yeah. I mean, there is a part to that, especially with men, that it's that alpha, I can protect you, you need me. And it's like there are some times where it is appealing depending on how it's presented. And there's times where you're like, there was a lot to unpack in that conversation.
Yeah.
We should just burn the whole suitcase anyway.
Yay, Dexter.
And I somehow I keep attracting whenever I'm out in public, the fedora wearing milady. I would draw my sword for you. I would shed blood upon it. I'm like, that's awesome. I love
really
the
hate
nerd
to say
references.
this.
I'm taking.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
In public, I would just rather tell them, you know what, I think I could probably kill somebody faster than you could.
Yeah.
And know how to do it and not get away with it. And get away with it. Or not. And get away with it.
They had it coming.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, because it's always those types, the fedora wearing milady, not to generalize, but it's 9 times out of 10, those are also the ones that go right along with the whole Madonna horror complex. I'm like, please, buddy, save it. You and I not going to see eye to eye. In fact, you're just going to piss me off. This is one of my favorite sayings is never try to teach a pig how to sing. You'll just get dirty and it only annoys the pig.
Oh, I love it.
Wow.
That's what my mother taught me that one. So if my mother is still listening, thank you for that.
Oh, speaking of mothers, I had a mother story.
That's right.
I have them. Okay, so in preparation for this show, I was doing research, as I usually do. Occasionally I will not, but yeah. I was doing research and my mom called me up. She was with my sister. They were in the car going somewhere. And they're like, so what's up with your new show coming up? And I was like, oh, it's a sex and horror. And so my mom's like, oh, Well, when I was younger, I was on a date with your sister's dad, and we went to see this movie. It was called Christine, not the one with the car, but one older than that. It was pretty much like a, but you should look it up and watch it. It was scary. And I'm just like, cool, thanks, Mom. And then my sister's in the background screaming like, watch Orgasmo. Watch Orgasmo. And I'm like,
Are they
greatest
doing like
family
horror
conversation.
porn out to you?
Yeah, my mom's suggesting
Porn.
spicy movies to me to watch.
Suggesting suggestive content.
Yes, for preparation for this show. I thought y'all would find that entertaining
I
because
do.
I
find that
found it
very
entertaining.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Did
yeah.
you watch it?
I couldn't find it. I looked, but everything was
you-
like the car, and
Yeah.
couldn't find it.
Too
But yeah,
funny.
that was my whole story. I'm sorry, I'm done now.
Okay,
It was a good
so
story. It was a good story.
what is the most awkward thing anybody has ever asked you when it comes to sex?
Most awkward thing
Mm-hmm.
someone has asked me, like a stranger or a partner. What are we
It
going
doesn't
with here?
matter. Whatever you figured out.
Oh, I am so the wrong person for this because like for one, I'm an educator, so like I kind of openly invite these questions and I don't really see them as awkward because I'm like, okay, cool, like let me answer this for you. Or it's like a partner or a potential partner, and it's I'm like I'm a ride or die. I'm like, heck yeah, let's try it. I'll try anything once, twice if I like it. And so there's not a whole lot that's like awkward for me.
Okay.
By the way, can I tell you how much I love the fact that there's a rack behind you? I'm sitting. I'm like, I want to go play. Okay.
Oh, I see the
What?
rack. Wait, other rack. Wrong rack.
What?
All right, so I think I've got one, and this conversation is like repeatedly happened. Usually somehow at a gas station. I don't know how that happens, but
What?
the gas station. Have you not had the gas station covered? You're getting out of the car to pump gas. You're by yourself, and some guy comes up and he's like, "Hey, can I get can I this?" And I'm like, "Oh, no, thank you very much, but I'm married." Well, that's okay. I don't mind that you're married. If
I don't get that.
you don't get the gas station conversations. Is it just
I
me?
think most men are scared of me.
I get that one. I think I just have this look of like, buddy boy, I will eat you alive. You can play this game or not.
I
Mhm.
literally so this I've been trying to tell my husband like this happens constantly when I'm out. And the other day I went grocery shopping by myself. I typically go with him because people always try and talk to me. I don't know why. Maybe it's the bright hair and they're like, "Oh, she's friendly." But I pulled out my phone and I pressed record in my purse so you could like see like the sky and me walking in. And as I walked in, some guy was like, "Hey, you looking really pretty today? And I was just like, "No, I'm good, thanks, bye." But just for
Just
proof,
be like, I know. Shut up, baby. I know it.
I just wanted like the proof of, do you see? I could literally just walk in and I'm not like the traditional.
No.
Maybe it's a Memphis thing. They like the curvier girls. I don't know.
It's that
I think they
southern
do.
food. It's the southern food, man. I know. I
Food.
know. That's
No,
okay.
no.
I know the awkward one because it's the only thing I've got that's like the closest to being. Oh no, did we lose her?
Yeah, we did. Keep going. Fine.
All right. So
She'll be back.
It's the does your daughter know what you do? Because I have a 6-year-old daughter.
Oh.
Does your daughter know what you do? And like sometimes it's asked in good faith because they don't know how to ask. Like, I need to know how to navigate these conversations with children. Does your daughter know? Because there's some that you can tell that they're asking in good faith and they don't know how to word it. And then there's ones where you're like, wow, that was condescending. That's like, does your daughter know what you do? Like, do you film this stuff in front of your daughter? I'm like, what? Who asks that? Do you walk up to random strangers and are like, hey, do you have 1 to 3 hours for me to ask you a whole bunch of unsolicited questions about your parenting style? Like,
yeah, the difference in parenting style to me is a big factor when it comes to stuff like that. I personally, I don't over explain things, but if my teenage daughter wants to come and ask me about a thing, I'm going to explain the thing to the extent to where she is.
Right. You let them lead the conversation and you tailor the answer to where they are at currently.
Exactly.
Like
You
that's
don't.
my daughter doesn't need to, like, when you point out, like, when she's like, what is that? What is that? What is that? We don't need to explain that, like, so this is used for pleasure. Like, we don't need to explain that because she's 6. But like, she absolutely, I don't use, hi, welcome back.
I'm sorry. Technical difficulties.
So I told her that the most awkward thing that I ever get is when people ask me if my daughter, like, does your daughter know what you do? My 6-year-old daughter. I'm like, my daughter, I had a video that I like just turned the camera on her and was like, hey, where does mom work? She goes, at the adult store. I'm like, okay, why do they call it an adult store? Because it's for adults. I'm like, all right, what makes it for adults? She goes, I don't know. I'm like, all right, what else does mom do? Do you know what a burlesque dancer is? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, what do you do? She goes, you dance. I'm like, cool. What do I do at the store? What are my videos for? She goes, you teach people. I'm like, cool. What do I teach them? She goes, I don't know. I'm like, perfect. There you go. But like, she's 6. So like, obviously, having me as a mother, you're not going to get the little like, okay, it's time to take a shower. Go wash your meow meow. Like, spare me. Like, she knows all the anatomical terms because 1, that is actually the name. And 2, it is the best way to combat grooming behavior by others.
Thank you.
Exactly.
So many people in the field of, police investigators and all the people who try and find these predators. So many people have come out and said, please don't teach your daughter it's a cookie. Don't teach your, it's not a ho-ho. It's name it what it is.
Because they could be telling, they could be telling you what's happening and you're like, oh, they're talking about cookie. Like, you're missing what they're telling you. Or like in my case, like if she suddenly comes home and says like, oh, something, my cookie, my peach, my what, I'm like, stop. Where'd you learn that phrase? Because if it's like, they saw something on TV and somebody was like on live television, like hinting at something by trying to like skirt around the FCC stuff, that I get. But that's the conversation of like, hey, where did you learn that phrase? And like, I'm all over the family. Like, as soon as she started getting old enough to recognize, I'm like, look here, everybody, here's how you're going to do this. We do anatomical terms in this house. Like,
yeah. The daycare lady that we bring our littlest to, we told her that from the beginning and she was like, really? And I was like, yes, really. It is a it is a that. Yeah. Oh no, we're running short on time.
We're pretty much at the top of the hour, it looks like.
That went
fast.
That went super fast. Oh, okay. Last minute questions. Anyone? Go. Someone go. The panic.
Oh, suddenly nobody has any questions.
I know. There's so many like movies and stuff I wanted to talk about it that like now I'm sitting here like
what did I watch this week?
We're talking about what again?
Well, so the one that I really want to watch that like follows this topic that I haven't been able to watch yet because I just know that for multiple reasons I would never be able to get away with like my kid being like in the house, like in anywhere, is X.
What is it?
Okay. So just the letter X. And the whole premise of it is that there's this group of people. It's been made recently. It's set in 1979, and this group of people goes and rents a remote farmhouse, the safest place in movies.
Oh yeah.
To make a adult film. And
I've heard about this one.
Yeah, so then they start like being stalked by this killer, and there's at the risk of like leading, because I know there's some people that like to go into movies like blind and not know anything about it. But what I like is that they kind of take that whole trope of like, if you have sex, you die, and they lean into it and kind of go, all right, cool. If that's the formula, what are you going to do with a movie where that's literally the entire cast?
Oh, I love it.
And I'm so excited to see it. We were gonna do it last night, but it was like my daughter was like laying down like on the air mattress, like we were all camping out together. I'm like, Oh, there's no way that we can do it. Oh my gosh, my sister said that was whatever that last comment was.
Go back.
Let's see.
My sister said to watch it. Thank you for reminding me.
So this is so Shelly is actually my boss at the dance studio. I work at.
Okay,
Yeah,
so I have a question about one movie, if you've seen it or if you've heard about it and what you feel about it. Teeth.
Oh my
That
God.
sounds so horrible. I'm sorry.
Do you know the
love that
movie?
Yes,
Yeah,
I love
I
it.
love
Okay.
yes. I loved that movie. I loved the symbology of it, that it was very notable that the people that were most freaked out by that movie, it was literally like a bunch of men going, oh, and a bunch of women going, good for her. I loved it. And I loved it, like the whole symbology that like that this would, when she was literally being like attacked, that this would happen. Oh my God, I just saw my partner pop up in a comment. That she was like being, hi Jeffrey, that she's being attacked. But when she's consensually doing things, nothing happens. I'm like, oh wow. And then like a bunch of guys just acting horrified that this was like a possibility. I'm like, oh my God, you guys, the whole thing is that it was non-consensual, that's when you got attacked. So if you're that afraid, I got questions for you about how you're approaching your potential partners, because like you're kind of telling on yourself right now.
It went right over so many people's heads.
Yeah. Oh, the scene where she stands up and it just falls out was like, did anybody else watch that?
I have not watched that movie. I'm dying to watch it. It's like there's an element of me that's like I want to watch it, and there's an element of that. I'm just like I'm don't know.
I
don't want to watch
recommend it.
somebody's like the JJ fight on somebody's dick.
I thought it would be terrible, and I put it on just to have a terrible horror movie on, and actually I loved it.
Oh really? Oh really? Mm-hmm. Okay, so what about? So there's a movie. It's not really a horror movie, but it kind of skirts that. It's more of a sci-fi ex Machina.
I think it's was it Machina or
Machina? That's it. Ex Machina, where basically he creates. There's a woman that is created, and she's a sex bot. I don't know how else to explain it. I mean, that's kind of what she's designed for. I thought it was a beautiful movie. I love that she got out in the end, but it was kind of there was a lot of disturbing imagery there.
I haven't seen that one.
I've seen like bits and pieces when it's been like kind of talked about in this kind of context, but I haven't actually watched it like from start to finish. But those little bits and pieces of like that she was created for this purpose, and yet like here at the end she's like that like sentient robot kind of thing that you're like oh yeah, I just saw that comment too.
Oh,
there was one more like kind of horror movie trope I wanted to talk about that I had completely forgotten about. And it's not exactly sex, but it does involve nakedness. It's someone's in the tub and they're vulnerable and the claw comes between their legs, or someone's in the shower and they're it's the woman is naked and suddenly they're so vulnerable. And I want more women naked screaming victory covered in blood horror movies, and less of this whole I'm naked and people can attack me now. I want more of the powerful naked women.
Yeah.
Here's my thought. If somebody comes at me when I'm naked, I'm not going to be vulnerable about it. I'm going to be bloodthirsty. I'm sorry. At this point, I'm just like, I'm naked. I'm really going to kill you because you've caught me off guard, and now I'm really pissed off. So
it's a survival.
I was enjoying that bath, and now I'm not.
Yeah. And it plays into that exact same thing as like the Last House on the Left thing, that it's like, you know how we could take this subject and like make it even more spicy and uncomfortable? Let's weaponize it. It's like, and it's always, you never have like, when's the last time you saw some dude kicking it in a tub and like somebody snuck up on him? Like, it's always the guys that get snuck up on because they're shirtless or in any sort of undress is because they just got done having sex with a woman. Mm-hmm. That's when, if they're going to die in a state of undress, that's when they do it. They've already had their personal victory alpha dude moment. Mm-hmm. But like us, we're getting clean. We're getting clean in a bath, and oh no. It's like, okay, first off, if you interrupt my bath, you're going to die.
We have 1 minute left.
Yes,
Real
I have
quick,
been.
where can people find you if they want to find you? Where are the places?
So if you want to see more of me in like my education, my TikTok is the best place to do that. It's Moxie Rose Dances, or you can look up Moxie Rose. For the Love of It in Wenatchee, Washington is our store. You can also find me through there and find our online store. My burlesque troupe is the Radar Dames out of Wenatchee, Washington, and we have a Halloween show coming up on the 15th of October. And the theme of it is villains. So we'll see what they all do with. I know a couple of them I know are watching this, so we'll see what they do with that, because we have
We want to see Pinhead.
it would not surprise me at all. And in fact,
do.
one of them that is watching, I'd be surprised if she didn't lean into that or at least consider doing that character. But that's where you guys can find me. I'm on TikTok. I'm at the store For the Love of It, or the Radar Dames on Facebook.
All right.
Wonderful. And with that, I hate to say this because this was a fun show, but
This was very fun.
all right. So with that said, pleasant screams.
Bye.
Bye.